Not with all due respect.
Right.
Did you ever see black in front of our party?
Gentlemen, let's listen. Now let's talk the domestic debt exchange.
You don't do that. Don't do that.
We'll also get Andy Apia Kubi. He was on 3FM as well with Johnny Hughes. We'll get that inset. But let's first hear the interaction between the finance minister and the pensioners who were picketing.
That woman there.
Chair, looking at what we have been able to do, being really very clear on where we are as a nation and what part of the contribution you want to. So I want at least one of you to tell me exactly what it is that is so egregious.
We know that you talk about moving from 0 to 15, but you see, none of us contracted bonds at 0%. So it's hard for us to even make a comparison from 0. For us, we look at it from what terms we accepted when we took our bonds that were issued. And if we are haggling over 3%, that should tell you how dire our situation is and how vulnerable we are. If 3% means so much to us, so that's what we want you to look at. We are asking for you to totally exempt us from this program. We are not that many, you know. You know the total value. You do know that a third of us or so go beyond 5%. But those 5 years. But you know, when people were buying bonds, they saw the terms of the bonds. And they had objectives when they bought bonds. Their objectives are that they are looking for maturities to match certain plans in their lives. And that is why people picked bonds that they picked at the time that they did. So even though it's a good thing that you may be wanting to bring some people whose bonds mature way beyond 2028 to that point, bringing it forward to 2028 or so, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing that you are doing for them, because they have their objectives and they know why they picked the bonds that they picked. But please, we depend on our coupons. We've done all the math. We know what to expect. We know how to add that to whatever other income we get, either from Social Security or whatever. We've planned our lives around these bonds. Some people, when they do the computation, they tell you that what they are going to be getting per month or so is just like 1,000 cedis or 2,000 cedis or something, but they have planned their lifestyles around it. So please, total exemption is what we ask. We are not many. Please look at us and do this for us. We are vulnerable. We don't want to be a burden on you, on the country, or on our children. We want to be a burden on ourselves. And so we planned our lives in such a way that we will be a burden on ourselves. So please, we know that you will give us some good hearing and consideration. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for this. You know, the challenge that we have is that we have an economic crisis. We do have an economic crisis. And I think if people truly want the elongated bonds, that's easier to do.
The indicators were not exactly the conclusion of the total conclusion of the IMF. The roadmaps were the passing of the budget, the approval of the appropriation, and the conclusion of the first phase of the IMF negotiation, which we have.
Mr. Alfred Thompson, the concerns that have been raised across board. This is 3 days in a row. You get onto social media, mainstream media, and the concerns are that the finance minister is just not empathizing. He's just telling them we're in a crisis, etc. And it looks like the communication, the sentiment are that he's not taking actions for government to burden share. What's the response on the corridors of government?
Roland, this situation is a very, very, very tough situation, I must say. You have a choice, And there are two. It's either you go out and say, like, listen, okay, I'm not putting all of you on it, and we sink as a nation, or we correct the measures and quickly try and settle everyone who is a bondholder or so. From all indications and purposes, I think the minister has stated over and over again that they are not forcing anyone to sign or come on the program, but they are pleading with people because it's a dire situation we are in now. I have stated over and over again that, listen, there is a contract, so you can't force people. And so all we could do is to plead and at least let people understand the situation we are in. When you listen to the minister, he stated again there that we are in a crisis. We are in a situation where you have to take hard decisions for the country. I did a little bit of homework and I was reading about some countries that are going through similar things. I think Germany also, when they went through the same thing some years back. Even people within the country contributed to make sure that they come out of it. Today, look at Germany. I'm not saying that people should do so, but I'm saying that if we decide as a country that, listen, let us give everybody their monies as they demand, what will happen to the economy? These are strict and precise questions we should ask ourselves. That what would happen to the economy? Inflation is going to go over 100%. The monies that they've given you will sink within a second. Because everybody will go haywire and do what they want to do. Even though we haven't gotten there. Look at how sometimes the prices of goods just skyrocket. Just like that.
Please speak loudly. According to the streams, they can't hear you. Like the way you were responding to the
because I'm in a situation where, in fact, when I responded to it and Amaliba was going on, someone just sent me a message that I shouldn't descend into the gutter. So I don't want to speak with us. And they said they know me to be a silent speaker or a quiet speaker. I don't shout. So why should I go?
Silent.
Why should I go? No, they said I shouldn't go that way. I shouldn't descend that way. I should just be who I am. So I'm trying as much as possible to be who I am. Maybe your listener is not working well then.
Our sound equipment is not working well.
Yes, maybe.
Seriously.
So you have to change it maybe. But coming back to my point, we are in a situation where it's either or, as I stated.
Mr. Thompson,
I'm coming.
No,
please.
please.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
No, please, I know.
You see, when you do that, you distort my thoughts.
When you listen to the finance minister, does his tone, the voice that he uses in communicating, and the content of what he says exhibits empathy, like the way you are exhibiting now? Do you think the two are coterminous?
What you played now, he stood there and he listened to them. He asked them a question and he responded. Where has he gone wrong? Roland, where has he gone wrong? He's telling them the reality on the ground.
And what is the reality?
At the moment, we are in crisis.
They say he's not burden sharing.
Roland, we are in crisis.
They say he's not burden sharing, Mr. Alfred Thompson.
Yesterday, I happened to be, whilst I'm doing my homework, I always try and get information from different quarters. Then someone sent me this. South African president declares state of disaster due to doomsday in the country. Nigeria is in crisis due to gas and cash shortages. And we are not facing any of these. So we should try and manage our situation. Joe Biden is being rated as one of the least of US presidents. Millions are on strike in UK due to the economic crisis. It is a total world blackout. And this is what we have to face. It is not about Ghana alone.
You mean our situation?
The crisis
there are
that you are in. Other countries are also facing different situations.
Which country in the world is facing our situation? Apart
That
from
is
the
what
ones
I
that
use the
were
word
faced by-
different situation. Every country and the different situation they are facing.
Which countries?
I said every country. I gave you about 2 countries right now.
Those countries are not facing our situation.
I am saying countries are facing different situations.
If you are sincere to
But
yourself, do
they
you
are-
think the countries that you mentioned are facing those situations that we're facing?
Are there not strikes and things in UK? Are organizations and things not going on strikes?
Where people's investments are just
Are people
marked
not
to
going?
market value?
I'm coming. Are people not going on strike? Let's be realistic, Roland. Let's take things as it is. Are people not going? Are organizations, are institutions not going on strike in the UK? Haven't we heard all over things that are going on in various countries? They might not be a similar or the same situation as in Ghana. Our crisis are that economically we are in crisis. And we are saying that how do we all come out of this? It's a matter of let us work together. Let us come together
do you think that the state
to
of our
work
crisis
and make sure that we come out of this? It's not about one person.
Mr. Alfred
It's not
Thompson,
about 2 people.
Do you think the state of our crisis, where we are, is coterminous to the countries that you've mentioned, their economic crisis?
UK, isn't it an economic crisis that they are facing?
They are still borrowing to many other countries in their state.
But they are still also looking for funding to make sure that they make sure that the economy comes back on track. They are also borrowing to make sure that the economy comes back on track. We haven't denied, we haven't run away from the fact that we are in economic
Did you
crisis.
listen to the finance minister?
Are you listening to me?
Yes, please.
I said we are not running away from the fact that we are in economic crisis. No one has said that we are not in economic crisis. No one has said that the situation is the same as it used to be. We have stated over and over again that what we are facing now is not the normal times that we are in. And we need everybody to support.
Do you think it is fair if you use the countries that you're mentioning as examples? Do they go in for individual assets or government assets or instruments they've invested in bonds, for example?
Roland, it's either you are not listening to me or you are trying to be mischievous. I'm telling you the truth.
I understand. I've overheard that phrase.
It's not as if you have overheard the phrase. I stated categorically here that every country or most countries are in different situations. I'm not stating that they are also in the same situation as Ghana. Every country and the situation they are in. And the countries that I mentioned, I showed you the situations in which they are in. So if you don't want to understand and appreciate what I'm saying, then it means that you just want to play some form of mischief and all this thing.
You think that is
and
what
you want
I'm
to downplay whatever I'm saying.
You mentioned countries, and I'm asking
and I gave you the examples in those countries.
What they are taking.
I didn't tell you that the same thing we are facing is the same thing they are facing. Did I say that? Did I really say that?
What did you say?
I said every country has a different situation. And I gave you that of South Africa. I gave you that of UK. I told you what is happening even in America. I gave you different scenarios. And I'm telling you that we have stated over and over again that our situation is difficult. Our situation is dire. We are in an economic crisis. And we cannot come out of this if we don't come together and work towards the good of this country. And I've stated it here. It's not about one person. Let us not look at the finance minister as a person and say that, oh, because maybe you think that the finance minister is not in a good posture, so we shouldn't even come out of this. If we sink, we sink together. If we work together. And I think the first and the most important thing is to look at how we can come out of this, how we can make sure that the country does not sink. Because if it happens, it's going to affect everybody, devoid of your party colors, devoid of your job you are doing. So let us come together and see how best we can all solve this. That is the first and the most important issue. After that, we can deal with the people or individuals who have been involved in this. But the most important is to make sure that at least the crisis we are in, I seriously empathize with some. I was telling him this morning, I was listening to some of the people a man who said that he was going to go on dialysis by mid of this year.
In his 80s.
And yes, and
Or
he's
80 years or so.
81. And I feel the pain. I feel what he's going through. Listen, sometimes even myself, I feel some serious crisis within my little enclave that I'm in. But at the end of it, it's about the country. It's not about me. So I'm begging, I'm pleading. I'm saying that let us all come on board and make sure that we come out of this together. Because the minister will come and go. But will the country, the crisis we are in, if it goes today or if it goes tomorrow, will it be solved? That is the question we should ask ourselves.
The minister will come and go, but the sentiment out there is that the minister's comment, Mr. Abraham Amaliba, don't seem to resonate with the sentiments of the people. What do you think?
My colleague here mentioned a number of countries and said that they were in crisis. The question I want to ask is, did the presidents in those countries fly in luxurious jets when their country was in doldrums? Did presidents of those countries fly in luxurious jets? Did those presidents have a bloated government? Did their finance minister go on borrowing spree and pocketing some huge sums of money as agency fee?
Well, our borrowing was approved by our parliament.
And I'm saying that the problems that he talked about that other countries are facing were not the doing of those governments. You have this government self-inflicting, bringing hardship on people, and they don't have the respect to talk to the people in a way that will assuage their pains. This finance minister talks gleefully, we are in crisis. And he mentions the word as if it's a success story.
No, but that's not fair to him. He says that
we are
we're
in crisis.
What are you expecting?
We are in crisis. Who brought us to the crisis? When you took over the reins of this government, did our rating agencies, did they downgrade us to junk status? Did you take over a junk country? Look at the inflation. Look at GDP. Every indicator is pointing to the wrong direction. Did those countries receive COVID funds and share it amongst themselves, nyafu, like their candies? Did the presidents of those countries allow that to happen? And now, you have brought us to this far, this ditch. You don't have the respect for the people. And when you are being told that, look, your citizens are suffering because of the DDE or whatever they call it, and so do something about it, we are in crisis. And he says it gleefully, we are in crisis. You look at his face, you look at his face, and there's no remorse.
No,
he says it.
His face is his face, Mr. Abraham. Be fair to the man. We're in crisis, and that's the reality, that we're in crisis.
Look, this finance minister met with the individual bond holders. They set up a joint technical committee. That committee came out with proposals to the finance minister. Mr. Finance Minister, I'm asking you, what did you do with those recommendations? What was the use in setting up that technical committee, joint technical committee? At the end of the day, you've refused to implement or even accept part of it. And you only are fixated. Is it not this? The things he's telling us, that if we don't do the DDE, this country will collapse. Is that not the same thing he told us when it came to the e-levy? You remember he told us the same thing. If we don't implement e-levy, this economy will collapse. Haven't we implemented the e-levy?
But there were delays, and the concerns he expressed that the delays on the part of the minority side.
In a democracy, you should factor in all these things. Why? As a government, they are not able to know that in a democracy, when you go to parliament, there are opposing views. How can that be the reason for which the e-levy didn't succeed? Why? So, clearly, you can see that this is a finance minister who is heartless. And you see, people say that the government doesn't respect the people of this country. I say that the reason for which the government doesn't respect the people of this country is because the government doesn't fear the power of the people.
What do you mean by that?
Any government that fears the power of its citizens takes on board the feelings of the citizens. But if you have a government like we have, that does not fear the power of the citizens, it has no respect for the citizens. And that is what is happening. Why? We are in this country. When people are being called to come out for demonstration, a handful will come out. The government sees that. And what would the government say? Oh, I want to me.
Why are you inciting citizens against government?
I am inciting citizens to demonstrate.
To the street or not?
I am inciting the citizens to demonstrate. Bring this country to a standstill. Look, organized labor.
You're causing insecurity.
Organized labor. Constitution says you can demonstrate. Look, the organized labor has the power to ground this government. And when it does that, the government will begin to respect the citizens. Demonstrations are allowed. We can have continuous demonstration for 3 days. And they will listen. Why is this government behaving like it is managing its backyard garden? Why? Look at that 81-year-old man, a doctor who has served his people well. Me, I'm not going to cry here. These people, when you cry, you waste your tears. Nanaya, if you are watching me, I won't cry on this set for this government. This government, when you cry, your tears can fill this cup. They won't listen. So it's waste of tears. I will tell them my peace of mind. It is wrong for a government to bring us to our knees and now begin to design programs that will hurt the people. Nana Yah was weeping here because I saw it. His father lived close to 100 and something years. 102 years. So he's lived with an old man before. I'm currently living with an old man. But me, I'm saying that I won't weep for these people to glorify the weeping. I won't. It is important that citizens begin at this point. And these pensioners who are picketing, I think that organized labor should support them because they will soon become like them.
So why are you inciting?
I am saying that they should go on demonstration. What are you talking about? Inciting what? See, citizens should use the constitution, go on demonstration so that the government will listen to them. Ground this country so the government will listen to them.
Please, you are inciting citizens.
I am inciting citizens to go on demonstration. I've said it. The constitution supports that.
I dissociate myself from
You can dissociate yourself. The demonstrations that are supposed to be carried out. When Martin Pewu called for demonstration, how many people came out? And I think that when a government fails to listen to its people, what the government is calling for is demonstration. The finance minister is the person who largely, through his own conduct, omission or commission, has brought us this far. The finance minister, will he be removed by the president? He won't be removed. There's a pact between the two.
You're a legal practitioner. There's a constitution. The constitution mandates the president to undertake, by way of appointment, who he decides to manage ministerial portfolios. You're not the one supposed to direct the president who to appoint.
That right is not an unfettered right. That right is a right that is subject to what the citizens want.
The president feels that the finance minister is doing a good work.
And I'm saying that the president himself is a mediocre president. And so if a mediocre president is praising a mediocre finance minister, are you surprised? Because the president and the president and the finance minister brought us to where we are. And I'm saying that those who are calling for the president to sack his finance minister, it won't happen. It won't happen because the finance minister is the custodian of the loot coming from this government. And so that part is close. The next thing I am calling for is for civil society to come together, have one big meeting in one room, and come out with proposals for this government. So that we know that proposals have been given to them, but as it is, they would ignore it as well. If not, I am calling for the people of this country to demonstrate against this government.
Lajantua, if you take a look at all that has transpired...
And I'm surprised at the Ghana Bar Association, my own association, which has kept mute all this while when these ills are going on. This is an association that used to fight for the voiceless. This association has now gotten caca. They now have a toothache. This association is moribund. I am disappointed in the Ghana Bar Association.
If you look at the individuals marching to the finance minister, his response, etc., and you look at where we're headed to, making sure we get this in place for the board agreement, we're already too late in the day. What's your own observations and best counsel as far as this is concerned?
You know, Amaliba is talking about go on demonstration, do this, do that, do that. This particular, and I won't say government, but the two predominant people who are in this particular thing, the president and the finance minister, have taken the attitude, no matter what you do, we are not listening to anybody. What we feel we want to do, we will do. And the one thing they are forgetting is that people have lost trust and confidence in the way they are governing. Lost trust and confidence. Have you heard the vice president talk about this thing?
No.
Why? Is he not head of the economic management team? Is he not a former governor, deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana? When the president chose the vice president to run with him, what did he tell us?
You said he's the answer to our economic.
Why hasn't he said anything? It tells you that within the MPP, there are people who are not for what is happening.
How did you come by that conclusion?
Wouldn't he have commented? Head of economic management team, who doesn't say anything. When was the last time the economic management team met? When was the last time it met? They should tell us. Let us hear.
They recently met under a mango tree. They met under a mango tree.
When you were talking, I was quiet.
Thank you.
Don't put words in my mouth,
No,
please.
I'm giving you information.
No.
Right.
They could have met under a Brofon Cartier tree, whatever. Have they met? These are serious issues. Have they met? The body language of the finance minister, did you see? He can't really be bothered. Both he and the president are playing ostrich. Do they care? Do they really care? I don't think they care. They don't care. And let me ask you, is this individual pension holders, bond holders, is that the only way we can solve our problem? Is that the only? How many of them? What's the quantity of them vis-a-vis the challenges we are going through? What is it? And remember, it's a two-pronged thing. The first is what? Debt sustainability. The second is physical stability. Have we talked about physical stability? Because physical stability has got to do with cutting a lot of the projects and things, suspending projects, cutting expenditure, all those types of things. Has the finance minister said a word? And the president continues to impose him on us as if we are children. As if we are children. The president should take some of the blame. The president should take some of the blame. I'm telling you, Ken Ofori-Atta, he is not competent enough to run the finance ministry. Period. Period. He's not competent enough to run the finance ministry.
Minister.
Yes, he's not competent enough.
To Yale, Harvard. You didn't.
Please forget that Yale Harvard thing. What is even?
You didn't listen to the president when he was giving the letters.
One thing that is even making me sad. He's making us that the best look as if we can't do anything. Look, 1970. Who was finance minister?
His father.
Please, I'm talking.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry. Who was finance minister? 1970. Joseph Ofori-Atta. Who was Joseph Ofori-Atta to Ken Ofori-Atta? His father. Who was ceremonial president?
Should I provide the answer?
The president's father. What happened? What precipitated the Kutu Echampo coup? And his son doesn't learn. His father went for so many loans then, 1970, which now kicked the military in. And we had the Kutu Echampo coup in Tuya. And you are following. You didn't learn. You didn't learn from your father's mistakes. And 53 years after, we are going through the same thing. Why? Alfred talks about other countries are going through this, other countries, they are going through this. But have they gone into people's savings? Which of the countries that Alfred has mentioned has said, we are going into people's savings? You tried an illegal thing with, what do you call it, e-levy. Going into people's savings. You want to do the same here? And people are telling you, these pensioners, senior citizens are telling you, please, we beg you, this is going to affect us. First of all, pensions are nothing to write home about. So we have made our arrangements to see whether we can also get some small money. And you convinced us that bonds are secure. Now you're coming to tell us what? What are you coming to tell us? That you are going into our savings? How do you expect us to live? Because you see, in going forward, children today, and children who are old and have parents can't look after their parents because of the kind of system and the hardship that this country has been through. Look, in this Fourth Republic, citizens have been tightening their belt, always tightening your belt. But those in power, enjoy. Those in power, enjoy. Who's the country for? Who is the country for? You come and beg me to vote for you because you have something good for me. Then when you come in, you come and sit on my neck. How is that possible?
All right. Now you said something. Now let me also ask you a question as you try to wrap up. We're putting something on the screens. You see, I've done this. I think this will be a third time. This is the structure of those holding our domestic debts, and the individual ones are the ones down there. So if we remove the super, perhaps you can see. So we have the firms and the institutions, and then we have the commercial banks. They hold the 33%, and then you have the individuals that are just in the pension funds, etc. Now you made a comment about why is it that the individual ones have become the ones that we need to rope in before we get the board approval. Why do you think the finance minister seems to be so bent on that small number?
Because he doesn't want to do the hard work in the physical stability bit. That's where the hard work is. Look at the projects that we can cut, that we can suspend. Look at what kind of revenue is coming in and which ones we should maintain. He doesn't want to do that hard work. And I'm saying, if he doesn't want to do that hard work, Parliament should take it up. Because you have select committees in Parliament for every sector. Let them take it up and tell government that you need to cut this, you need to suspend this, you need to cut this, you need to suspend this, and let's see whether they will act. Why? Pensioners, you've just shown us the chart of the structure. Why are you so, what's the right word to use? So gung-ho with regards to this small set of things. Isn't it sad looking at the people, our old people at Ministry of Finance? And you, the finance minister, you actually even had the nerve to go and greet them. Could you not have invited them upstairs into the finance ministry's conference room? Could you not have done that? They were picketing. You went to greet them. And you said things that didn't even help their situation. And you are still bent on it. I would really like to hear what the IMF or World Bank will say about this. I'd really like to hear.
You think that he's lost the confidence of the Bretton Woods?
He has lost the confidence of the people first. That's the first point of call. That trust is what he needs to build back. That kind of confidence. That's why I'm saying he is not fit to be there, because he's lost the confidence of the people. Apart from losing the confidence of the people, he was the same one who said, we are not going to IMF. He was the same one who said, we are a proud nation. He's now telling us that without this, we can't go to IMF. Who should we believe? Isn't it confidence? Isn't it trust? And the president sits and says he should continue. Okay.
I have this message from the former member of parliament for Tema East and also a deputy transport minister, Titus Glover, and it's to you, Mr. Ibrahim Maliba. He says, please tell Ibrahim Maliba to stop inciting people. If he wants to demonstrate, his NDC party is available. The government is trying hard to find solutions to our problems. I share the sentiments of the pensioners and I implore the president to intervene. So that's his message to you. So
yeah, but the president won't intervene. The president won't intervene.
No, we want to go for a break.
No, can I do a quick
Correction.
If
Titus Glover knows the requirement of the Constitution, which allows citizens to demonstrate, he won't make that statement to me. It is a constitutional requirement.
Okay.
That if you are dissatisfied.
Okay, you want to say something?
Policy, you can
quickly, I want to correct him. J.H. Mensah was the finance minister and Jones Sofriata was the deputy finance minister. It isn't right that Jones Sofriata was the finance minister, and let's put that on record. Secondly, in his incitement,
was he not part of
please, when you were talking, I was very quiet.
Wasn't he part of
I
the
was
team
very quiet.
Are we not where we are?
Secondly, from the rhetorics and the speeches and the ganging up of bringing people that they should go and demonstrate. You heard what he said. Let us make this country come to a standstill. That is the modus operandi of NDC. Even if we are in crisis, rather than bringing solutions in which we can all come together. Oh, please, let me talk.
The NDC, they brought the individual bondholders to the finance ministry. I'm asking.
Can I talk?
But you said something.
I said that instead of coming together and say that, listen, these are some of the solutions we prefer to you, so it can help you, go around things. You rather tell people that go on demonstration,
and I'm asking
so that this country
is it the NDC that incited the bondholders to go to the finance?
It's because Ghanaians are afraid of the president, so people should come to a standstill. The country should come to a standstill. Is that how to control grow a country? No, is that seriously how to grow? Please, when you were talking, I was very, very quiet. When you want to correct wrongs, is it by bringing a country to a standstill? Is that how the country will grow?
It's a demonstration bad.
No, seriously. Let citizens. And when I tell you that the NDC is not an alternative, you don't get me.
It's a demonstration bad.
Are we doing exchanges here? Or can't you write it down?
Wrong.
When you are speaking, I put everything in my brains.
Demonstration wrong. I'm asking you.
And I'm talking about it. So why can't you write it down? Let's be civil here, please. You sit here and you insult the president and the finance minister, and look at how you are behaving. You are behaving like a street boy. Don't do this. You are behaving like a street boy. Don't do this.
You are a pig.
You are a lawyer.
You are a pig in the gutter.
Well, welcome back. Lajantwa, how do we resolve this? How do we bring some finality in the coming month to make sure that we get the board approval? Because prior to December, when we went to the spring meetings, Pakwesi Asari with 3 business, they speak to the finance minister. Oh, by December we'll get a board approval. By January, well, now today's February 10.
Are we saying we have no other alternatives apart from this particular issue? Is that what we're saying? I don't think so. I think we've got to a stage, and we've kept saying all along, stakeholders, bring them together. We have economists in this country who can actually sit with the government and give alternatives. And let those alternatives be transparent and workable. As I said, it's not too late. It's not too late to bring people around the table. So the individual bondholders are saying, don't touch it. Okay, Finance Minister, call others. Let's see. They say we shouldn't touch it. We feel ABCD is the way we can do it. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And let's come to some consensus. And that consensus should be collective consensus, where everybody can, link into it. They have that collective consensus. We come and sit on platforms like this. We go into it better and then fine-tune it better for us to be able to meet the IMF. But I don't think the 3 billion that we're asking for from the IMF is going to be enough for what we're looking for.
Why not?
So, is it 3 billion we need? We need more than 3 billion. Where the economy is, we need more than 3 billion. 3 billion might help us pay for some of the debts. But what about other things? First of all, we need to cut some of the big projects. We need to look at the flagship project, free education, and see how we handle it and handle it better. Because a lot of money, I think it was 2018, 2019, nearly 93% of the oil revenue went into education. It tells you something. It is not a bad thing. It's a fantastic thing. In fact, free education was started by the Nkrumah government. It's a good thing. But the management and handling of it is where the problem is. We've got to a stage where we all need to sit around the table. It shouldn't take somebody like Nana Ajanta to come and sit here and cry for you to find empathy. Find the empathy now. They've been telling you, we depend on this thing. We used to pay school fees. It is what we use to take care of our health. Our elderly. The president, is he not a pensioner?
More than pensioner.
How old is the president? Is he not 79? Yeah? Correct me if I'm wrong.
In March.
Is he not in the 78? Is he not in the same scope as some of these individual bondholders? Show empathy. And I don't think that if the president comes out today and says to the finance minister, let's take the individual bondholders out of this and let's find other solutions, I don't think we won't find other solutions. We are a country. We are not a small subset.
You think we have the brains and the resources to be able to have a coherent strategy to
half of brains, we have the brains. Whether the brains would be allowed to be part and parcel of this collective decision is another thing. But the brains we have in this country. And so far as, so far as we don't make it partisan and we open it up for everybody to come in and they will listen. That is the key thing. They will listen. Then I'm sure you would find a solution. Because see, they've back-ended the debt into a number of years when they will no more be there. And that is a problem. All these things we need to sit around and talk about it.
Yeah, when you look at your chart, the one you brought earlier on, you realize that the chunk is coming.
The debt.
Yeah.
Oliver, please put the
You realize that the chunk is coming from the banks, where they've put up the SFS to make sure that they cushion and they arrange. When you go around it, I mean, virtually all the institutions, the firms, the foreign investors, the Bank of Ghana, pension funds, rural banks, insurance, social security, and commercial banks, you realize that there have been talks ongoing. It's not as if you are doing anything in isolation. We are not. There are still talks that are ongoing. Why have they been postponing about 4 or 5 times? have they been postponing the end date? It's because the talks have not been conclusive. So when we sit down and we...
But that is problematic, right?
No, it's not.
When you have a finance minister who is talking to people and they are not listening to him.
Because
this is the sixth time where
the insurance companies have signed,
cultivation.
The insurance companies have signed on. The banks have signed on. About 3 or 4 different things have signed on. But that is not the end result. We are looking at the entirety of the whole thing. And that is why you don't have to end because, okay, the majority or some chunk have signed on, so that is the end of it. You don't do things that way. You still engage. You engage till at least everyone buys into it. And that is what the finance minister is doing. And I think we should at least give him that respect or that love or that show some, at least something towards him that, listen, you are doing well. We push you to do better, but you are doing well. Let us not...
Is he showing us love? Is he showing us love? Would you say the finance minister is showing Ghanaians love? Would you say so?
So,
because you're on this platform.
Please wrap up.
30
seconds.
Minister Jantua shouldn't be doing
We have to go
this.
for a break.
You see, when we are putting things together, when the country is in crisis, we don't rather call people that, listen, go and fight about it, go and bring the country into chaos, go and make sure that the country comes to a standstill. What you do is to bring ideas, bring people on board, tell people to empathize, and let's all come on board. Because today, if we should hand over to you and the country is in crisis, what can you do? Nothing. You also have to call people to come on board. But if you don't do that, it tells me that you have a parochial interest of just leading and making sure that also, okay, me too, I've become the leader of this country. That is it. That is not what we are looking for. We are looking for solutions to build a country up, for people to be okay within a country. MPP, when we came, things were not that rosy. Nobody can say that things were rosy.
We are
but things were picking up till it went down. Once it's gone down, you can't say that because it's gone down, I'm done, I've finished. I remember in this country when people were even fighting, some ministers were fighting Galamsey. They threw their hands in the air and said that, listen, I've done it, it's not working out, so I can't do anything again about it. But we have said that, yes, we are in crisis. We are having challenges. But we are not going to sit down and say that, oh, we've done whatever we can do, so that is the end. We are finding solutions to every problem, and we are going to cross all the T's and dot all the I's and make sure that whatever situation we are in today will come out of it. But we cannot do it alone. We need a cooperation. We need the idea. We need the love of everybody to come on board, and we do it together. Because if we don't do that, at the end of it all, we all lose out. And we don't want the country to lose out. We want all of us to have a win-win.
I'm sorry, I just have to give you 2 minutes. Please.
The basic thing, just a minute. The basic thing is that you should listen.
No, we are listening. That is why we are having the meeting.
I'll just give you only 2 minutes. I beg. 120 seconds.
Nobody eats, laugh, and sleeps. Nobody eats, laugh, and sleeps. So we've gone past this patriotic callings. Patriotism. Nobody is patriotism. We've also gone past the stage where people are calling for dialogue. This call for dialogue started long ago. This government will not listen. I am calling on citizens to exercise their democratic right to demonstrate against this government. And that's the only way that the government can listen. If the government does not fear the power of the people, the government shows disrespect to the people. And I'm calling on citizens to demonstrate, exercise your constitutional right and demonstrate. And this government would listen to
your titles. Glover said it should be measured in the way you're inciting.
That can bring about solutions to problems. It's not demonstration that brings about solutions.
Alfred Thompson,
you can air your views without demonstration. You can air your views without demonstration.
Have you even listened to the persuasion?
Sure that your
Director of the
have you listened to the persuasions?
Political Affairs Committee of the CPP. Thank you very much.
All men are picking.
Abraham Amaleba is a legal practitioner. Now let's take a couple of your comments.
Fight to come to power.
Well, so we have some of your comments as well. So we'll take a couple of them. We have this one.
Only a couple.
From Philip, Sugar Daddy.
A couple means two.
Giving us...
Only a couple of them.
Giving us a message from last. So countries are facing different crises. There is no doubt. What annoys me is what culminated to our financial crisis. It certainly is not COVID. Neither is it Ukraine or Russian war. But misappropriation of funds. The words are big, so I have to resort. I don't borrow from. And massive corruption. Next one. The only crisis we are in today as a nation is a political crisis and nothing else. if we can have people on TV to shout and make their voice clear on why Haruna was not offered a seat in Parliament, and can't do some same to tell the finance minister what is right. Mr. Thompson said we should all come together to solve the problem. That's good. But how can the man who led us to this situation stay in office and want us to help him solve the problem? That's a question from George from Ho Barracks, Newtown. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, it is time functionaries and communicators of this government stop insulting our intelligence and credit us with a little respect in this country. We are where we are today simply because of the arrogant posture of them. We are told that the country is broke, but they keep on increasing expenditure at the seats of the presidency and that of government appointees. Who does that? They always, feel they know it all. And for that matter, they will not listen to any advice. And that's from Alhaji Hamza. Journalists become mischievous to politicians whenever they begin. Oliver, leave there. Let me read this one well. Sugar Daddy La. Journalists become mischievous to politicians whenever they begin to interrogate their corrupt actions. Both MPP and NDC are the greatest problem Ghana has. Well, the neutral here is the CPP, represented by lawyer Kwame Jantwa.
No, you didn't mention the middle name.
Middle name, eh? The middle name is what?
Your own
I
Minister
forgot
for
him.
Education.
Oh, Dr. Yawose Edichum. Good morning to you, Minister of Education.
You should have interrogated what happened in his ministry. How come his access was being used to
go
and give
we didn't talk about
somebody a grade A.
The CI.
The Minister of Education must answer. This government is
Election.
just made of
Electoral
people
Commission, yeah.
of
We'll
the
interrogate that
underground world.
We'll talk about that next week.
Oh my
On
God.
Monday. We're taking a break.